Hello, welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia, and welcome back. We are back, and we are playing with power. It has been so long, guys, that we have not done an episode. We have just had busy lives, and I don't know about you guys, but I am glad that we are back doing an episode, and we are going to do our best to be consistent with these episodes definitely throughout the rest of this year. So, real quick, guys, how are you doing?
I've been pretty good. It's been a weird year. How's everyone else doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Good health. Excited for the spooky season and excited to be back with you guys. I miss you guys, and we don't get to do this often enough. In fact, hardly at all. And hoping this becomes a regular thing again. I miss you.
Well, that's awesome, guys. Man, it's good to hear you guys' voices again. But we're back, and how timely we're back for our birthday's Halloween. This podcast was born on Halloween, and Ryan and I, way back when, we lost it then, and it's cool to be returning on that as well. But before we get into our main topic, we need to get into what we have been Radical Rexing about. My oh my, has it been a long time since we Radical Rex, so there's probably a lot to Radical Rex about. I mean, for time's sake, we're not going to talk about everything that's happened over the last 8 months, but, guys, I'd like to hear maybe your top 2 highlights of what you've Radical Rexed about over the last, since we had an episode. And I'll go first. I'll Radical Rex that. Radical Rex came out on the Switch. That's pretty surreal that this game that no one in the world besides me and us knew about got released. I will say the only disappointment with it, I bought it, is that they used the Sega version and it's not the Super Nintendo. So the soundtrack is different, and the main villain, he does the same role, but they changed him to a mammal, he's some weasel looking dude. In the Super Nintendo version, there's an actual rap, and the music sounds way better, and he's a wizard. So, I don't know, but that's one thing I've been Radical Rexing about. And the other thing I guess I'm Radical Rexing about is, Lindsay just we're married, so I guess I can throw that in there. We got married a couple months ago, so we're officially married, but she threw me on an awesome surprise birthday party last Friday, which I totally didn't expect. Ryan and a bunch of the local guys were there, and it was cool, and I got some fun gifts and got Mario Rabbids 2, which I've not really played much at all of, but I got it, and I plan to dive in a lot more this weekend. So that's what I've been Radical Rexing about. We'll pass it on to you, Chris.
Oh boy. As I mentioned before, it's been a very weird year. Honestly, not the best year, but there's been a lot of good things that have happened in between. I got a new job. Literally the day after my last episode with you guys, I got an offer, and it was my dream job, and it is very surreal to be in the job that I've been fighting for literally years. So I really enjoy it, and so I feel very grateful and fortunate and blessed that I am working in the job that I've been wanting for a long time. Games-wise, I would say, honestly, it's kind of a weird year with games. Nintendo themselves haven't put out their best stuff. There's been some good stuff, but a lot of indies and third-party titles have really taken over this year, and especially in the realm of physical games, there's just been so much. I just got Persona 5 Royal yesterday, which is I never ever thought that would ever come to Switch. The Cowabunga collection, Shredder's Revenge. I just got The Tourist and that F-Zero game, Fast RMX or something like that. Lots of great stuff that's come out this year, and so it's not these heavy hitter games, but there's just so much great variety and just great quality stuff. So very grateful for that, and looking forward to playing everything.
Yeah, and like I said, so much has happened. There's I can't Radical Rex enough about just like that TMNT collection. If you that was one where Ryan and I is we did an episode way back when that stuff we wanted to see on Switch and that franchises that need to come back to Nintendo. And I had said Dragon Ball Z and I said Ninja Turtles. I want a Ninja Turtle collection. And that was like, that's like 2017. And by golly, it's all happened.
Yeah, and honestly, they really knocked this collection out of the park.
Oh, yeah.
It's like every single Ninja Turtles game until the bad ones.
Yeah, and regretfully, we did not do a nostalgic episode of that, which would have been perfect. But doesn't mean we can't go back and revisit it. Absolutely, yeah. We'll definitely have to revisit it. Well, you want to hop on over to the third guest tonight?
Yeah, it's been a trying year for me overall. So I'm really glad to start the spooky season off right and get us back into recording the podcast and just hanging out with you guys again because it's been really rough. I've had a lot of unfortunate events happen in my life leading up to now. And things are starting to look up and looking better. And so it's not all easy, but I'm happy that I have video games to accompany along the way. Some of those big highlights, definitely Klonoa coming out on Switch.
Yeah.
Though I'm having a lot of trouble playing it right now with all the other distractions I have. But then Splatoon 3, I'm putting a lot of time into that. I maxed out my table turf level, and I'm working on... I finished the single player and the extra stage and everything, the secret stage, and now I'm just working on, building my level on online play with whether it's Salmon Run or which is your standard battle. I haven't touched any of the special battle modes or anything. I'm just mainly trying to get that golden brush icon. I'm the ink brush user, so having a lot of fun with that. I finally have an outfit that I really like, just trying to get the right items on it, boosts on it, and having a good time with that. So that's pretty much what I'm radical rexing about in the video game world.
Awesome. I mean, I'm sorry that, the year's been tough on you, but I'm glad that things are on the up and up. And hey, we're back. So that's cool too, right? We can do this again. And Josh, last but not least, Josh, my man, take us away.
All right. So yeah, it has been, what'd you say, like 8 months? So to keep it, I guess, narrowed down to the game-related topics. It has been a pretty good year, I think, of releases, with Kirby and the Forgotten Land being, like, super special to me and my daughter. We loved it, 100% of the game. Then you had stuff like Shredder's Revenge. That was awesome. Splatoon 3 I've really enjoyed. I played some with Ryan, and I think I played a few with Chris, I believe, as well. It's been a little while. It's been several weeks ago. But, of course, the one that sort of means the most to me at this point this year is Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope that came out 1 week ago today, officially.
No kidding.
So, yeah, and I know we're going to plan on talking about that more in the future. That one, of course, if anybody knows some of the stuff I've been into in the community in the past, and then July I got to go play it early in Paris. Really awesome game. I'm glad it turned out as awesome as it has. I think we've had a lot of good releases, and we've still got a couple more to go before the end of the year's up. So, yeah, obviously I've been playing probably too much of that game in the past week and a half or so. It's kind of exciting for different reasons, I guess. But
you got it early, right?
I did. Yeah, I got it.
So he had it beat before Street Date happened.
It almost looked like it, but no. Actually, this one's it's more meaty. It looks like it's probably going to be like 50 hours to 100%. So that's just a rough estimate. So yeah, it's got some meat to it.
Yeah, Josh is our Rabbids VIP. He's a lot to share on the topic.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how I got here, but yeah.
Him and Davide are buddies now.
Yeah.
Like literally.
I know.
Not even exaggerating.
I know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I know, like I said, there's so much we could Radical Rex about, and I think we will eventually do an episode, just kind of catch everyone up with our lives and kind of like a review of the year of what we thought, since we weren't chiming in so much. But for now, we have a topic that we want to bring to you, a topic we have not done, and it's honestly kind of sad that we're getting to the point that this game is old enough to feel nostalgic. Because it makes me feel very old. But it's all about Luigi's Mansion 2. Chris, can you just inform us a little bit about when this game came out?
Sure. So
Yes,
Luigi's
tell us
Mansion.
tell us all about that Dark Moon.
So Luigi's Mansion 2, or as Ryan said, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. It is kind of weird for me to refer to it as Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. I kind of just say 2. But anyway, Luigi's Mansion 2 came out in March 24th, 2013. It feels like just yesterday that it came out. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, I don't even know what kind of a person I was in 2013 yet. I don't know. And also,
It's almost 10
yeah,
years.
it's crazy. So, and that's the reason why we're doing this episode, which is wild because, like I said, it feels like a recent game, but it's going to be 10 in just a few months. So it's Halloween time, so that's why we wanted to do this. And I also wanted to bring up, and thanks to Josh for reminding me about this, the arcade game, which is based off of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, that came out June 18th, 2015, so 2 years later. And this game was developed by Next Level Games, which now is under the umbrella of Nintendo. After Luigi's Mansion 3, Nintendo saw their potential and was like, hey, you know what? We want to keep these guys. So Next Level Games is now officially a first-party studio. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. And it was, of course, for the Nintendo 3DS.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'd be curious to hear about your guys' initial opinions of this game. I can still remember the day I went to pick it up. I was living up in, actually, I was living on the southwest side or southeast side of Indianapolis, and I was going to church way up in Noblesville, which was like an hour away. So, and I remember once church got out, I went to the GameStop, and the closest GameStop there in town at Noblesville, and I went and picked this bad boy up. And it was close to, it was in March, I think it came out. I remember, for some reason, I just remember it being cold, and I remember it being, I think it was close to Easter that year, because I remember just having some friends come home from college in the midst of while I was playing that, friends at the time, and I just remember being on a break from life and getting that game. But it was a big deal when it came out, just because Luigi's Mansion hadn't been touched since then. Like Luigi's Mansion came out for the GameCube, and which was a huge cult classic. It wasn't initially well received, obviously, because people wanted a Mario at the launch of the Cube, not this new weird Luigi game. But it eventually, over time, you got nostalgic for it and you missed it. And I remember being very excited to play this game. Very excited. Probably more excited than I was Luigi's Mansion 3. Luigi's Mansion 3 was amazing, and it's better than Luigi's Mansion 2. But in my opinion, I just remember that the amount of time that had passed, we hadn't seen Luigi in a long time, and this feeling, and it was just really, really cool that it was happening, and that it was also going to be, I guess I think I might have been a little disappointed that it was portable. I mean, I know for Ryan, that's probably blasphemy, but for me, I because the original one, I remember it on the console, like on the home console. So it would have been a cooler thing if it would have been on a home console. But like, man, that 2013, so that would have been the Wii U days, right?
And honestly, now that I think of it, it actually would have been pretty cool on the Wii U. Like,
oh, it would have been awesome.
like using it as like a little, I don't know, like telescope into a room or something like that.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? The 3DS, the system itself lended itself to some really cool new ideas. So, you know, I totally understand, Jake, and I'm 100% with you with everything that you're saying. I was really disappointed when it was announced to be portable. It was a huge announcement because we just thought Luigi's Mansion was like, that was it. That was like, it was just a standalone kind of one-off kind of thing, and to see a sequel and on a portable system was just like, what? But awesome. When you play the game, you really do understand why they did bring it to this system.
Absolutely. Do you have any initial? Did you get the game when it came out at launch, Chris?
Yeah, I did actually.
Was it later?
I was really excited for it, and it kind of worked out. My dog had passed away around the time when it came out, and we were driving down to Florida, so I'm like, I need something meaty and new and exciting to play, like on the car ride over there. So I picked that up the day of, and just played that for the entire trip. It was a great game, and like you said, it was a very cold time, and it was kind of weird that the game came out in March. They probably were aiming for October, but it just needed some more development time, which is fine, because it definitely paid off, and I think it sold quite well as well. But it was a cold time, and kind of in that weird, dark, gloomy winter way, it was kind of a nice time to play this game, and I really enjoyed my time with it in the car.
There was something unique and special about being able to cuddle up in my bed and like turn the lights out and play it. I will say that was being portable was what I'm getting at with that too. So to add on to that, Ryan, man, how about you?
Yeah, I got this game. I want to say I definitely didn't get it at launch. I got it on sale, I'm pretty sure, and I played through it. I got some spoilers ahead of time, and people just, talking about it, and some of the things they were kind of down on it. Like, it lacked a lot of the personality from the first game. With some of the ghosts, they all had unique personalities, and these ones, they were kind of just the same form or variations of the same form. But there was a couple of like highlights. Like, a lot of people praised the 3D effects that they did for the spider fight, and so I got to that point, and I beat the spider, and I wasn't too overly impressed with that. And so, I had some other things that came into my life that kind of distracted me, and I was like, I'm going to come back to this. So I started playing it again, and then my sister-in-law was over for, I think, a holiday, and was watching me play it, was like really excited about Luigi's Mansion. And you're like, well, you know what? Why don't you borrow this game? And so I handed it off to her, and I didn't see it for, I think, a couple of years till I got it back again. And I fired it up, and I was like, I have no idea where I am. So I was like, I'm going to put this away when I have time to start the game again and start it from scratch and enjoy it. And then I heard that there was this arcade game, and I'm like, I want to go play that with friends. I think that would be the awesome way to experience this game, like fresh and new. So I'd like to do that with you guys if possible. But as far as like my nostalgia for this game, I remember going through it, and it was very formulaic. I think my biggest disappointment was that they brought a lot of kind of areas that you go to, like themed areas. You weren't walking through a specific mansion. It was like a bunch of individual areas. I thought that was kind of neat. Also, I wanted that original one. And I think this game had so much charm, and the 3D was a great use of the 3D, and the elements that they use, the literal elements that you use, was nice. So I think that like it's a really good package, and I'm not trying to like summarize everything here, but I don't have a lot of.
That's the episode, folks.
Yeah, let me be the Debbie Downer here, and you guys can bring it up again.
I'll fix it.
Well, that's a good way to transition. How about you, Josh? What was your initial memories getting this game, and what did you initially think?
No, I think some of my initial thoughts was similar to, I believe yours is, I wish it was on I feel like I had this moment a lot with a lot of games. I wish it was on the big new HD console at the time.
Yeah.
At least for Nintendo fans, the few of us that bought the Wii U. Because I really love the GameCube game. I still do. I think it has a unique kind of look
totally.
to it, like the art and the ghost and all of that sort of thing that I think honestly still hasn't been replicated since the first one. And that one's just really easy to go back to and replay. It's not too long. It's not the most difficult game, so I love going back to it. So super happy to see two. That many years later. Once it did come out on a 3DS, and once I got to play it, I think it looks perfectly fine for what it is on that system. I think the 3D looks good and all of that sort of thing. I don't have much to complain about there. Now the setup, like the going to the different mansions and the mission-based structure, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I also understand I think they did that simply because it was on a handheld, and it sort of flowed for that a little bit better. But I think what they were trying to do, I think they still did it well. Now the character, the way they pulled off Luigi, like Next Level Games, the animations and the little goofy quirks, and like when there's a scene where he's in that elevator and it starts dropping and he freaks out. All that stuff I think is like done perfectly. Like I remember being impressed by that back when that game, like before it came out, seeing trailers. Like that made me more of like Luigi's not my favorite character, but that made me more of a Luigi fan, just seeing all of that and how I reacted to stuff. There's a lot of moments just sort of makes you smile, and I think they pulled that off even better when it comes to 3. See, I think it's 3 almost feels like an evolution of this, but then kind of brings back some of the great elements of 1. This isn't about 3, but anyway, and also to sort of tie the arcade into that, because it's very much sort of the same game, the same rooms, the same story, and all of that. If you ever get a chance to try it out, I think it is really good fun. I got to try it at Myrtle Beach a few years back, but I was just there this year, and that machine is gone.
Oh, no.
So that's the only one I knew of. I played it with my wife and daughter a little bit when my girl was a little bit too young to really get very far into it, but I did beat it, and I wanting to say maybe I played it somewhere else now that I think about it as well, in Cincinnati or something. Anywho, I do remember going all the way through it at some point, and it is pretty much Dark Moon. But it's just one of those. Yeah. It's just a little sort of a quick version of it, if you haven't seen it before, where you hold the poltergust sort of like in your hand. There's 2 of them, and you just work together through different missions, suck up enough ghosts or something like that, if I remember correctly. But yeah.
So
anyway,
it's pretty much.
I know that was a little long-winded.
So is it basically Dark Moon just like in first person?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, there's a little less. It's more focused on like sucking up ghosts, from what I remember. You're not going to get all the puzzles and collectibles and things like that necessarily. It's an arcade experience.
Right.
Of it.
Cool. Yeah, I also wanted to add on like a few things that you guys said. I really liked the mission-based structure, and Josh, you're right. I think they did do it because it is like a portable system. But I liked that because with a portable system, and even on like a home console, it's great to have an adventure kind of broken up into these different things, so that you can. Sorry, I'm a little distracted. It's great to have the game broken up into these different sections so that you can play a little bit at a time, shut it, and go back to it later. It just really lends itself perfectly to the hardware. And I really liked the style of the game. Like the original game has this very iconic look, but I think that the developers did a great job in understanding that the 3DS can't handle these extravagant, kind of like realistic, quasi-realistic looking graphics that the GameCube is trying to aim for. So they kind of went with like this jagged look, which I think is really cool. It's like stylish, but also just looks really cool and cartoony. So yeah, I just think they did a great job, adding style into this game. Yeah,
for sure. I guess to add to that, with the way the structure is set up, I'm not as big on. I love how the first game is not really open world, but it all feels like one big thing. This one felt a little more like it's 1-1, it's 1-2, and then 2-2, and all of that. But I still think what they did with it was like really cool, where it's still like all in that same mansion, each world, so to speak, is, and the themes were all like really different. Like I think they all stood out, like the big clockwork one and the one that kind of looks like the regular mansion.
Right.
I think they did really well with the setup they gave themselves, with the limitations they gave themselves to work around.
Yeah, I think having different mansions, like you said, gives them an opportunity to have different variety. Where, and I think a genius way that they tied in what was great about the first with what was great about the second. Like the first, you just have one mansion, and everything kind of looks kind of samey. The second one, you have different mansions, but they're different, which is cool. But 3, they tied that together. It's one big place, but there's a reason why these different levels have different, diverse backgrounds and themes and stuff like that. But anyway, yeah. With 2, I really liked the variety. That was a welcome thing for me. And one quick thing I wanted to add is with the visuals, I also love how they incorporated 3D. I think this is probably one of the best games that shows off 3D on the entire system because of the camera angles that they used. A game like this, it's kind of like a diorama, and when that diorama theme really lends itself to depth and just interesting things popping out at you, and this illusion that you're like in a unique space. So I thought it was like the perfect title for them to bring back, for them to show off what 3D actually was, because they were having a hard time selling that to the public. And so for me, that really sold the game for me and made me feel great about my purchase with the 3DS.
Yeah, I to kind of recap with what you guys have said, ultimately, like, it's a fun experience. But I will say, when I got done with the game, I don't want to say let down. I definitely wanted something that was going to be similar to the first game. And as in, like, I was not a fan of moving from mansion to mansion. I really felt like that took me out of it. Whereas the first game, I felt like it was just this whole experience of being in this one big place. So I really like that, or I didn't like that they did that. Just the idea of themes was cool, and it's cool that, spoilers, which is Mansion 3 kind of put them together. But I just remember being a little let down by that. And definitely the generic ghosts, like Ryan said, that there was no personality with these ghosts. I mean, there was, but there was no characteristics, I guess. Like, they weren't individuals, and they just were all like clones of each other.
Yeah, like no unique personalities.
The first game, the
Different
first game,
shapes of blobs, not people.
Right. The first game had there was like all these different unique ghosts in different rooms, and like they were like all like a big family of the mansion, and they all like, were just haunting the place, and that was fun, and that was cool, and it made it unique, and the bosses were more unique that way. So the game really definitely felt like it was a step back, in my opinion, from what the initial game offered. But again, that doesn't make it a bad game. I'm just talking from the perspective of that time that it came out.
I mean,
and
I know what you mean, Jacob. Like, in my view, and it's totally valid if someone feels that way, but in my view, it's not that it's worse, it's just different. Having many mansions is just very different from having one mansion. And what was another? Oh, and having like a chapter set up. It's just different from having it be one big adventure at once. So, everyone has their own preferences, and I think this one leaned into a different style, and there's different, everyone has different preferences. But again, I think 3 just blended everything together perfectly. But,
Yeah, 3 is a masterpiece.
But I will say, like, as much as I love this game, maybe I like it a little bit more than you, Jacob. I will say, though, with games like this, I get a little exhausted, like, because I get kind of OCD with each room. I want to discover every nook and cranny and, suck up everything and see what surprises might be there. So I can only do a little bit at a time. Way. So, yes, it's not a game I really want to go back to because of that.
We definitely need to bring up the Shining, first appearance in this game. Whereas, Mario has his Yoshi, but Luigi didn't really have an accompanying buddy.
Yep.
And so this game introduced Polterpup
Yep.
and Best Doggo.
Yeah.
So cute. Very annoying in the beginning, not going to lie. But, it's the Dark Moon. Like, he gets better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, he just shines. Like, must protect him. He's so cute.
Yeah, I know. Like each character has their own like little dog now. Like Yoshi has Poochie or whatever his name is, and Mario has Yoshi. Now we have Polterpup.
I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Luigi's
maybe
is
we
dead,
can get
but
him
that's
in
okay.
maybe we can get him in a mainline game or something.
I'm fine with that. I don't think anyone would complain about more Polterpup.
No,
Yeah.
no,
And
not
honestly,
at all.
I wouldn't complain about more Professor Egad too. I was kind of let down when he wasn't in Mario Kart like that. What that rumor said. I love Egad.
I know, right?
Yeah, he's great.
And I'm a little disappointed that instead of like getting Luigi's Mansion like amiibo with like Polterpup and stuff like that, we got Luigi's Mansion Lego, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it would be kind of cool to have amiibo of Polterpup, calling back to this second game, and then also just having Egad as an amiibo and having Luigi with the actual vacuum and stuff.
And that would have been cool. It was again. It goes back to you can never predict why Nintendo is going to do what they do. Like, I mean, Luigi's Mansion 3 would have been a perfect time to release one or two amiibo.
Yeah,
but but they'll release like 5 for like Xenoblade 3 or something like that.
I do
sense.
have a little figure of Luigi. I'm trying to reach for it right now. It looks like an amiibo. I love this thing.
that's
You see
awesome.
that?
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's just
Oh,
That's
that's
super
it's
cool.
in 3 too.
yeah, isn't that cool? So
Cool.
oh, it
very
actually
cool.
says Luigi's Mansion 2. Yeah.
Does it
awesome.
It looks like the 3 pose.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And it's the
Okay,
same
maybe
exact
it is
size
too.
as an
It just-
amiibo too, so love
Great
this
for
little
radio.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I mean, the baddie of the game, obviously, spoilers, was King Boo,
Whoa.
and he has returned for revenge. I mean, this was like a, yet again a trap. And you kind of, I think it's kind of a mystery, how did he get out of being trapped in the first game?
I mean,
And I can't remember if they covered that or
I
not.
don't really play games like this for their story, to be honest with you.
I mean, I know.
I feel like they did, but I don't remember
Yeah.
either. By the time you get to 3, I mean, and you know this if you played the first 10 minutes of the game or so, you just start to find out King Boo really hates Luigi. So I don't think there's anything that's going to stop him from finding a way out.
Yeah, and King Boo, I just have to comment on just how different King Boo is from the initial like Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine versions
True.
of him.
Yeah.
He just first in Mario 64 he's just like a regular
Yeah.
Boo, but he's just big. And then he looked so dopey and
Oh my god.
completely different. And then, which was so odd
Right.
because Luigi's Mansion came out around that same time. It's like they didn't talk about each other, how they're going to incorporate that.
Yeah,
But,
he's like a silly ghost. I'm just like, where did you guys get this idea from?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, he's really menacing and evil looking. And I beat the arcade game with Traven. We played at Dave and Buster's here in town. So, it's pretty much the same game. I mean, just from a different perspective, but truly is almost the exact same game.
But we all like the character
but-
of King Boo in general, right? Like, I think he's really cool.
Yeah,
For sure. Especially
is
the
cool.
Luigi's Mansion iteration of
Yeah.
him. I'm still disappointed in Mario Kart 8. It's not that one. It's just a Boo with a crown on
Yeah,
his head.
it's so inconsistent.
Oh, yeah.
What's that about? Like, it's
Weird.
such a better character model, the Luigi's Mansion one.
That's
it's like
Nintendo.
so much personality, and then they just take it all away with those games. I don't get it. And like, honestly, he
Right.
would be pretty cool in like Super Smash Brothers. Now that I think of it, like that'd be a pretty fun moveset, you know?
He could find a way. Sakurai and then would find a way to make it work.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely deserves a spot on the roster in the future. I
Yeah,
think.
or like EGAD maybe. But they did. Now that I
He
think
needs
of
to be
it,
in Mario Kart, plain and simple. I don't know why he's not there.
I mean, they did add some Luigi's Mansion like moves to Super Smash Brothers. Now that I think of it, so I don't really play with Luigi that much, but I am pretty okay with them adding those features to the game. But anyway,
yeah. Well, you guys have any? I mean, I feel like we've kind of stretched this game out as much as we can here. You guys have any like final thoughts on the game, and where can people find this game today?
I definitely don't have any complaints about the music. I think they did a pretty good job with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Headphones in, of course, but yeah, good.
Yeah, it's actually like surprisingly really good and high quality for a portable game like this. I really like that, with some other games, like even Banjo-Kazooie, stuff like that, there's like one main theme, but there's different iterations of it depending on where you are, what kind of theme is in that mansion and stuff. Like there's like an Arabic version of it if you're in the more, mummy-like mansion, and then there's, I don't know, like a even gloomier version in a different mansion. So, I really like when games do that. They stick with a catchy theme that just is really, that just works, like you said, Josh, and they kind of just play around with it. So that's fun. But yeah, I mean, for me, I just love the 3D. I just think it's a great, like the perfect game for it. There's lots of fun surprises, and there's a lot of creativity in the game. There's great puzzles that you can use that like I never would have even thought of, that takes advantage of the sucking and blowing capabilities of your device. And I mean the puzzles are excellent. And there's so much creativity, and I really like that when you see like a hole in the wall, you can peek through it, and you can look around using the gyroscope of the 3DS. I thought that was such a clever idea. I have a lot of great things to say about this game. I do recommend people play it if they haven't already, or go back to it if they have, but I will say the controls are a bit iffy. It's harder to go back to because you're not playing with a joystick. You're playing with one joystick on the left, and it's the circle pad, and you can't use a different, the C stick on the 3DS wasn't a thing at the time. So it's tough to go back to. You have to look up and down using, I think, like X and B or something. So it's a weird control scheme to go back to.
Did it support the Circle Pad Pro, do you know?
No, I tried it on my system yesterday. It doesn't work.
Huh, okay.
Yeah.
I know, something I'd like to do when we bring forth 3DS games is just like when we recommend the game, we also want to kind of give you an idea of where it's best played, whether it's on a 2DS or a 3DS, like where you're going to get the best experience. Like if it's something like, 3D doesn't make a big difference, you can play it on whichever.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of helps to lead someone into that, since there are two different versions of the experience that you can have with that. Would you say that this is a game that you'd want to experience with the 3D on, or would you say you can play it turned off and it won't really mess with your experience or won't really bother anything?
This is one of the few games where 3D is absolutely necessary. Of course, you can play it in 2D, but you're really taking away from the initial intention that the developers had. This was a game developed to show off the 3D capabilities of the system, and the entire game has that in mind with their surprises, the level layout. It's absolutely essential. I don't know about you guys, but I can't even imagine playing it in 2D.
I can see that. Yeah, I'm one of those people that has 3D up all the way all the time. So
yeah, so you and me might be biased, but
I actually could stand the 3D. I turn it off every time I play it.
Oh boy,
I got sick of it after the initial. I played, I think, Ocarina of Time in 3D, and then that was about it. I was like, all right, I'm done with this gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, it's like me and like not listening to music in games and just playing without the music on, the sound on. But
oh,
yeah,
no, can't do that. Nope.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know not everybody likes the 3D. I was one that actually tend to use it almost just because I felt like I was missing part of the experience.
Yeah.
If I wasn't, like maybe it was a mind thing. But no, I think in this game it actually did look pretty good. There were some games that didn't pull it off all that wonderful, like New Super Mario Brothers 2.
Mm-hmm.
But this game I think worked really well with it.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would say also, like, this game came out when the original 3DS was a thing. There was no, I mean, maybe the 3DS XL was a thing, but, like, I highly recommend if someone wants to go back to it to play on a new 3DS XL, because that's when the 3D is a lot better on your eyes. The screen is much bigger, and this is a game that has a lot of detail in the graphics. It's a 3D action adventure game. They put a lot into these levels. So I played it on that tiny little original 3DS screen, and I couldn't go back to that. You got to play it on the big guy.
Play it on this one right here.
Yep, that's the one I have too. Yep, I love that guy. But there's some games like that are just so grand that you have to play it on a bigger screen. So hopefully they can port this one to the Switch or Switch 2, maybe Kid Icarus as well. But it's also interesting to note that Luigi's Mansion 1 was also ported to the 3DS towards the end of the 3DS's lifetime, life cycle or whatever. I haven't played it. Have you guys played the first one?
Not on the 3DS.
Yeah.
But
I love the GameCube
original
version, but I don't know anybody that got the 3DS version.
Yeah, it came out so late.
Yeah, it was a weird time.
Yeah, and it's weird because...
Again, it would have been better to redo those and put them on Switch or the Wii U at the time.
Yeah, definitely. It's for me, one of the best things about the first one is the controls. The way that Luigi's Mansion 2 was built around the 3D with 3D in mind. The original Luigi's Mansion was built around the GameCube controller itself, like with the suction and like the intensity of the suction and the blowing out and all that stuff. It was built around that controller. So I can't really see that transitioning too well into the 3DS system's controls, but it probably looks really good in 3D.
Yeah. Well, in the second one, lost those features as well by being just straight up for the 3DS. So people were kind of, if you played that game, you were used to it, and so newer people playing the game probably didn't know any better.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird seeing that game ported to the 3DS because they kept the old one's style, and I think one of the best things about Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is its style, that jagged look and the geometricness that they really lean into. But with the original that they ported, it's this simple, curvy, mildly cartoony, mildly realistic looking thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't know, there's a reason why they kept that style for Luigi's Mansion 3, because it's just so iconic.
Bringing it back to the second one, did any of you guys do the Scare Scraper at all?
Just twice.
A couple times. I think that's about it.
Okay, wasn't sure if you get to play with any friends or anything like that, or
just a couple times online. I remember doing it with friends and stuff, but it was again kind of like the third one. I would do some stuff with friends, but nothing where I do this all the time.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, would you mind summarizing?
Same story.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Josh. I just wanted to see if someone could summarize it whenever they get a chance, because I kind of forget what the point of that mode is.
No, you're good. Go ahead, Ryan. I was just saying it was basically the same story with me. A couple times with friends and things like that. But I wouldn't say it was a one-off, but it wasn't one that we went back to all that often once we sort of got through the main gist of it.
Honestly, I got the game so late, I never really got to experience that with any friends or anything like that. I never really got to touch the Scare Scraper, but I have played enough Scare Scraper on the third one to say, to get the idea of it. And I know that the third one definitely built upon that in pretty much every way. That's something that actually I've planned playing this week with one of my coworkers. We try to play that every year, and so it'll be cool to get on there for at least Luigi's Mansion 3 and play that one. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, I don't really have much more to say. I don't know about you guys, but if not, Ryan, why don't you remind our listener base, I'm sure the three we have left listening to us, where they can find us as we rebuild our brand here.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Gosh, I haven't dusted off these notes in ages. My goodness. Even then, I wasn't doing the show notes there for a while, so my goodness. Okay, so, find it in my notes. Here we go. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Pandora Podcasts. You can also catch our older shows on YouTube. If you want to check out some of our original early content. Go back and listen to those early Luigi's Mansion episodes for the spooky season. Yeah. And then you can also find us on our Facebook at Nintendo NOS, on our Twitter at Nintendo_NOS, on Instagram at Nintendo NOSIN. Shoot us an email at NintendoNostalgiaIN@gmail.com. You can call into our Nostalgia hotline, share your memories, and show us some love at 317-969-5690. And Josh, where can they find us on TikTok?
Sure, you can also find us on TikTok at Nintendo_NOS. It's Nintendo_NOS. And everywhere else that Ryan mentioned previously.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure for us to be back. And, we're keeping it under an hour for you this time. But be on the lookout for more consistent episodes and, spread the word because the NOS crew's back, baby. You guys have a good one. See ya.
Bye, everyone. Happy Halloween.